Hola mis amigos, we're making matcha brownies. We're starting off with 1/2 cup of butter or 1 stick of butter, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 2 eggs, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we just want to beat these ingredients together. Okay, so now that our wet ingredients are all beat up, we're ready to work on the dry ingredients. We have 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And to that we want to add 1/3 cup of Matcha Japanese green tea powder. And you might want to sift your green tea powder, but since I'm going to use a whisk to mix the ingredients together, that will take care of the clumps. Now that we've got that nice and blended, we can go ahead and add this to our wet ingredients. And I'm just going to dump it all in. At this point, I think we might do a little better if we get rid of the whisk and move to something like a wooden spoon. Okay, so our batter is all mixed up and it is a little bit thick. You can see that it does have sort of a stiff peak, but that's exactly how we want it to be. So now we're ready to transfer this into an 8x8 baking dish. And we've sprayed our baking dish with an oil spray. It might be a good idea to spray it with the one that has the flour in it as well, but I've personally never used that kind. The oil will work just fine. Now we want to spread the brownie batter in the pan just to help it along. You don't have to get it perfect because it is going to spread out on its own, but we're just doing this to help it out a little bit. And I'm going to be honest, as you can see, mine is going to be a little bit thin because I'm actually using a 9x9 baking dish instead of an 8x8 baking dish. So that's why it's not quite filling the pan. They're going to make pretty thin brownies, but that's okay. Okay guys, so now we've gotten our batter spread as much as possible into our incorrectly sized baking dish. Now we're ready to go ahead and put this into our 350-degree oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. You just want to keep your eye on it and use the toothpick trick to find out when it is done. So we're going to go ahead and put it into the oven and we will be back. Okay guys, we are back and our brownies have baked for about 25 minutes. And a toothpick in the center does come out clean. So we are good to go. We are ready to go ahead and let these brownies cool. We're going to let them cool for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And then we can cut them into squares. So we'll be back. Okay, so here we are. We've let them cool and we've cut them into squares. And again, they are a little bit thinner than they usually would be, but that's because I used a 9-inch baking dish instead of the 8-inch baking dish. So as long as you use the 8-inch baking dish, you will have a thicker brownie. At this point, you can go ahead and enjoy them. If you'd like, you can give them a dusting of confectioner's sugar. So what I like to use is a tea strainer and put a little bit of your confectioner's sugar in. I'm using a 1/2 tablespoon here, but really it just depends on how many brownies you have. And you just want to give it a light dusting like so. And there you have it, matcha green tea brownies. Enjoy, and I'll see you at the dinner table.